Afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Rachel.
How are you all today?
Great, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing well. It's a little hot outside. I was just telling everybody, for anyone who's tuning in, that I was running around right before this, and it's like 90 degrees outside. Probably not a good idea. Now I have this like glow. But aside from being a little hot, I'm a little excited too, as I'm sure all of you are, and we've all been talking about the latest. That our region entered phase 2 officially yesterday. So there's a lot of changes and there's a lot that's staying the same. So we're going to kind of go through everything with you all today and highlight how we are changing things, how we're keeping some things the same, some of the things that we've learned through the process and we've adapted to. So if anybody has any questions, this is a live Facebook event. So feel free to put into the comments in Facebook any questions or comments that you have, and I will share them with the group. I will be monitoring them during our session. So if you see me looking down at my phone, I am, but I am totally tuned into this and I'm just monitoring for your questions. So just to introduce myself and our panel, I'm Rachel Heiss. I'm the branch manager of the Better Homes and Gardens Rand Realty office in Warwick, New York. And I am joined with three fabulous agents from our office, Nikki Zegerzewski. Nikki, say hi to everyone. And Carol Rogers. And then Grace Warren, she's joining us fresh this week. So I'm going to give Grace just a minute to kind of talk about herself and introduce herself to you guys in a little bit more detail.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Grace Warren from Better Homes and Gardens, as Rachel said, and I have been doing this for the past 20 years, so it's been quite a long time. And I live in Warwick. I've lived here since 1980 when I moved here as a kid with my family, and now I'm raising my family here, which they're all kind of raised at this point. My youngest just graduated from college. And I also host a live radio show on WTVQ Radio, which is called The Real Estate Show. So you guys can tune into that if you'd like. That's at 10 o'clock on Monday mornings, and it's kind of a fun show. We talk about all kinds of real estate topics, and you can call in and ask questions anytime. And of course, I guess that's it. I've been doing this for a long time, so I kind of know a little bit about everything.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us. And I will say that the work that you guys do on the Real Estate Show has definitely inspired a lot of what we're doing here. So kudos to you and the crew that holds down the fort with the show. I've been on the show a couple of times. It's been fun, being the guest. And, I guess the only thing with it is it's just radio. So you're just learning the voice. With this, you get to see the face behind it as well, which is also nice. But the radio show is a blast to be on. And the content that you guys have every single week has been really on point. And also, I'm sure that it's probably not easy to come up with something to talk about every single week, right?
It's not, but with this business, there's always something new happening. So it's not as hard as you think, but sometimes you do, kind of say, oh no, what am I going to talk about? But we always come up with something.
We always have great guests.
Yeah, we try.
Right. You've had like home inspectors and mortgage people and like the Cornell Cooperative talking about past clients, all kinds of stuff. And that's also, like I said, it's inspiration for us and for this panel and kind of where we're going to go with it in the future, because it's something that I think that I want to continue to do for our office and feature different agents and different professionals. So if anyone's watching and, they might want to be on a future panel, definitely send us a message and let us know. And thank you to everyone that's watching. And again, just a reminder, if you have questions, put them into chat. Go ahead, Grace. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, if anybody has a topic that they're interested in for the Real Estate Show on the radio, I'm happy to hear about that too. So I love having new guests.
Yeah, good. So we've been through a lot in the last 3 months, I would say, and our business has been through a lot, and there's been a lot of changes, and I'm just in awe of everything that we've been able to do through this, especially since our hands were tied with a lot of different things that we couldn't do. We went from, free reign, being able to go in and out of homes, meet with sellers, meet with buyers, renters, have all of these great meetings in the office and trainings and, just having this great culture throughout the office, to not being able to go into the office anymore. And I have to police that as the manager and make sure that no one's actually going in when we actually had them closed. And I know a couple of people snuck in, and some people actually admitted it to me that they snuck in, or they would call me for permission. And I said, don't call me for permission to go into the office. I already told you you're not allowed to go in. So, we went from that to now, having a little bit more freedom with some of the things that we do. So, like I said, that's going to be the topic of the session today. So we're going to talk about buyers and sellers, what we're allowed to do, what we still can't do, and some of the things that we have done virtually and how we're going to still implement that in our business. And then we'll also talk about the office and kind of what's going on there and how we're treating the office. So I wanted to start with Nikki, because I know with Nikki, she was super duper excited for yesterday. And I said to her, I was like, you were probably at like 12:01 on the dot, meaning midnight, a minute after midnight on the 9th, showing a buyer a house, because you've been like crawling out of your skin having to do this virtual process, because you're very hands-on. And, you said that in our first session. So I just wanted to go to you first and have you talk about the experience with buyers, and now your thoughts on being able to show homes to buyers, as well as kind of covering, how we're doing that and what precautions are we taking.
Well, I am super, super excited. Yes, I am. And I was at the showing 9:01. Not
Because you can't get into the lockbox at 12:01. Is that why?
well, I tried to push it a little bit, yes, but I'm super excited about it. I love the interaction with people. So I really missed buyers, sellers, and I am super excited right now to be able to actually meet with people. We do have to be very careful. We still have to follow the guidelines. We still have to be protected, mask, gloves. So we try to keep everyone safe, the buyers, the sellers, keep the distance. We try to have 2 people at a time in the house, try not to touch anything, be very respectful of, not to have sellers in the house as well. So we still, with this guideline, but we try, and also, with the buyers, I mean, nothing changed when it comes to pre-qualification. So we do want the buyer to be pre-qualified. We try to still get a virtual consultation. I will stick to this as much as I can. I do not like it, but I will, just to keep everyone safe. But I do find the buyers, they do come well prepared. They learn a lot about the area. They come with pre-approvals, and they're very respectful. They will come if the buyers do not have the mask or gloves, I'm always prepared with the mask and extra gloves in the car as well. But everyone seems to be really well prepared when it comes to it. I mean, I don't think anything except that we can actually go into the home right now will change as much. And we had this discussion with Carol, before we went live, that certain things will probably stay the same with virtual open houses. So we'll try to do as much as we can. But in general, it's really exciting that I can just go and be with people, and everyone is looking for the juju in the house. So they want to feel, and it's really nice, exciting for me that I can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you mentioned the mandate a little bit, and I just wanted to put some emphasis on it, because the state mandate does say that the seller cannot be home while the property is being shown. Right. So, it's not a recommendation, it's a necessity.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you have to wear masks. You shouldn't have a buyer in your car, so everyone should have separate cars. And you focused on 2 people in the home. It should really be the decision makers.
Yes. yes.
whoever is actually,
Distance at the property as well.
yeah, anyone that's going to be on that deed should be in the door. But if not, then they should see the home virtually, right? Like if someone they saw the home, they love it, but they want mom and dad's approval on it, right? You either would make a separate appointment for mom and dad, but because they're not really decision makers, why not take them in virtually, right? And show them through FaceTime.
But we can schedule also separate appointments when it comes to
yeah, but I do like the idea of either having them virtually or sending them a video, because again, there's so much we've learned. Why not use that to our advantage now?
I mean, we still start virtually, then we have them drive by, and then if they really, really love the home, this is when we come in.
Right, yeah. And what we were saying is like the old days, which, you know, the old days were the beginning of March, the end of February, you meet somebody at the office and then you go out and you look at 10 homes and they're in your car and you're having lunch together and all this other stuff. We've got to, you know, we're not going back to that.
Happening, right? It's not happening.
But it is nice, and I know you're very excited to be able to actually see the buyer and show them a home.
I am very excited, yes.
Normally would. But the virtual stuff, I know it's here to stay. I know it's going to be here for a while. And I know we're still going to utilize it a lot in our business. And especially like if you have buyers that are out of the area, why have them make this trip to come see the property unless they already know that they've exhausted everything else and
I have been driving with my phone on the dashboard and showing them area because they do come from the city. They come from Long Island, from Brooklyn. So I really would like them to see as much as they can see. So I do drive with the phone and show them the school and the drive-in and the supermarkets and kind of introduce them to the area. But this is how we do it. So, you know, we still have to follow everything and keep a distance and safety for everybody to keep, you know, sellers and buyers and us as well.
Grace, you had something?
Yeah, I think that the buyers, you know, when you're doing these virtual, we're doing virtual showings, it's like Nikki said, driving through the area, but also like right in the neighborhood, showing them what the next door neighbor's house looks like, the house across the street, the streetscape, all of that is important for them to see, you know, if they can't get to do a drive-by, which, you know, would probably be the best thing for them to do if they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have so many other great tools like with Google Earth and Street Views and stuff like that they can see it. But yes, either showing it to them virtually, having them drive by. I mean, that's really what we want. We want pre-qualification for the house to make sure that, you know, it's within your affordability range, and to make sure that you can move forward. Because right now, if you've been looking for a property and like the one comes on the market tomorrow, the one is going to be for 20 other people too, possibly.
Inventory is super low right now. There's many buyers out there and are losing homes because like there are multiple offers on property.
I have two buyers right now that want to get out and look, but neither one of them is ready to do anything now, and it doesn't make any sense. Because when what they see that they like, by the time they make an offer, it's already gone. Yeah. I mean, they're sending me a list of 6 homes and one is available. The other ones are gone.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's your serious buyers that are qualified and ready to go. If you have a house to sell, you got a road to hoe yet. You're not ready. You're not in a position.
Right. So doing the consultation, I always prepare and ask the buyer to be ready, have a pre-approval and ready to go. Because
I said to the one gal, I said, when you get pre-qualified, just for the heck of it, see if you can do it without selling your home. And you're putting yourself in a better position. Not that that's what you want to do, but she's from Staten Island and they'll probably sell their house in a day, you know, but who knows? You know, it's just a little bit different. That's all.
You have to be ready to go today.
Yeah. But you've got to be ready because there's been so many bidding wars. There's been properties flying off the shelf because the inventory has been so low. And one of the things that just came out of our conference call that we had prior to this starting was that the year-to-date average sales price in Orange County compared to last year's up 10%.
Is it 10%? Right.
10%.
I was saying 6%, but 10, wow.
Yeah, the median was up. I believe Joe said it was 7%. I didn't jot down because I was getting ready and running around with my phone as I was listening to it. So the median was a little bit less, but the average was up 10, which is huge, huge. And the inventory levels across the bar, whether it's properties for sale or properties for rent, there's so slim inventory.
But also what was said in
Yeah.
the morning's meeting was that you don't know what's going to happen 2 months from now.
Right.
With the economy, it's going to have an effect. And, you know, it's you're riding very well now. If you're thinking of selling, now is the time to do it.
Yeah. And if you're thinking of buying, with rates being where they are, you know, absolutely. It's a great
buying power is so much greater right now with the all-time low interest rates. It's crazy. Yeah.
And I mentioned, I think on one of the last sessions, I talked a little bit about refinancing. If someone is thinking about that, I mean, obviously we want people to move, right? We want people to buy and sell, but if anyone's listening and they have no desire to sell anytime soon, but they're thinking about saving themselves a couple of bucks on their mortgage, definitely look into refinancing right now because the rates are great and you could potentially save money.
And we've got a great mortgage company affiliated with the Rand office.
Yes, we do.
They do a great job. So we can help you in that department also, for sure.
We can definitely help in that department.
Yep. Is this a good time to mention all the inquiries for the rentals that I just put on the market that have been, it's astounding how many people I've gotten.
Yeah.
So I listed 2 new rentals and one of them had at least 50 inquiries. I stopped counting and I couldn't get everybody in there because I only had a limited amount of time that I could show the property or get people to go into it. Of course, every time I had to wipe it down and whatever, it's been difficult, but we have 4 applications on it. And then the other one that I listed, I have 2 applications on it, like within just a couple of days, and not everybody's gotten to see it. I know I would have more, but I just am never going to be able to get them in there.
Yeah.
I rented all 4 rentals that I had in the last month. So everything went.
Well, I was looking for, to check the prices of my own rental that I have just to kind of get a feel for what's on the market. And I looked in Warwick and I looked at 2 bedrooms and there were 2 units listed. Like, that's it. I was with another agent. We were meeting virtually and we were going through some training stuff and we were looking for a client who was looking for something in Monroe. Same thing. There were 2 rentals that were priced under, I think we looked at up to like $2,500 or $2,400 a month, and there were 2. And it's amazing how low the inventory is, and we know the demand is high. So if anyone is sitting back and they're waiting to sell their house for something else to happen, they shouldn't be waiting.
Time to get off the seat.
Yeah, and that's a good segue into Carol, because I want Carol to talk about listings and to talk about some things that, we spoke initially about doing things 100% virtual, right, Carol? But now you have a little bit more leeway to do some stuff. So what can you tell us about listings in terms of, getting a property listed right now and handling showings and
well,
things like that?
It's strongly recommended that we work with sellers virtually and do listings virtually. If it's necessary to meet with somebody, they recommend that you do it outside and that you have your distance and so forth. But I think that there's no reason to do that. I think you can virtually talk with people. You can take a tour through the house by FaceTiming with the sellers. They can walk through their house. You can say, oh, back up a little bit. Show me that. Tell me a little bit about what you've done to the house that's not on the tax records, that, the enhancements that you've done. When did you change your furnace? Is the furnace new? That sort of thing. It can all be done virtually. It's there's no reason why you have to put anybody in a position of being uncomfortable. And that's what I want to express to the sellers. There's no reason to be hesitant about putting your house on the market because of all the precautions that are recommended and demanded. You know, it's very clear. We have actually guidelines that we send out to people. It's on my phone. I can send it out to people and it tells them exactly how a showing has to go. There's no reason in the world to worry about anything, you know, in that way at all. We cover everything digitally. The paperwork, they don't want us handling paperwork back and forth. They want it done digitally, you know, electronically through our system that we have, .loop, which is great. I love it. And you can send paperwork back and forth, can be signed. There's no reason to put yourself in harm's way or your seller, you know. And that's pretty much anything else, you know. We're making sure that people are pre-qualified. We talked about that extensively. Ask the people to do drive-by. Why in the world would you have somebody come an hour to Warwick to go look at a house and to find out that they hate the neighborhood? I mean, it just, it doesn't make sense. This is putting everything in perspective so much clearer than the shopping around, as you said, 10 homes. It really narrows it down, and they like the neighborhood. They like what they see. They are going to look at a virtual tour that you have on the listing, or the listing broker has on there. And then if they like everything that they see, then we can make that appointment and get them into that house.
Yeah. And you know, as far as a seller who might have some apprehensions, and you know, we've spoken about this before as well, but they're not under any obligation to have the in-person showing,
No.
right? So, you know, we can still do this 100% virtual, and we could still, you know, move forward the way we were before phase 2 started, if that's a seller's preference.
Exactly. It has to be our decision and the seller's decision. And we're not under any obligation to show a house to an agent or a buyer that we're not interested in getting into the house. And when they come, you have to make sure, and we send out notice to them about the showings. It has to be the decision makers that are going to be going through the house, not a family of 4, or not the decision makers and their parents. It's not protocol and it's not acceptable. It has to be the decision makers, and it makes sense. If for some reason the mother and father want to see it, we can do a virtual tour. We can walk through that house and give them a hands-on look at everything that their kids are looking at. So there's, it's very well thought out for everybody's. The guidance is there, and it has to, the state guidelines forbid, for instance, the homeowner to be in the house when we're there. Cannot be.
Right.
At all.
So we have state guidelines, and then we have our suggested guidelines that were put out to us, you know, by our wonderful Joe Rand, who is our, you know, guru of everything, but he's also an
attorney too.
Right. So he put out the best advisories for us to share with all of our clients, and to even share with other agents that are going to be showing our listings. So, you know, in one of the guidances, there's an assertion that the agent and the buyer have not had any contact with anyone who's tested positive, or they haven't been tested positive. You know, and if they answer yes to any of the questions, they should be quarantined for 14 days according to CDC. So, you know, we have everything in place to make this safe. We have the requirement of masks, like Nikki had mentioned. What are we suggesting to sellers to limit touching throughout the house?
Well, you know, if you have a pair of gloves on and you're going through a house and you're touching everything, those gloves now become your bare hands, because you're spreading from one place to the other. You touch as least as you can. I tell my sellers to open doors, open the closet doors, Is there a pantry? Open the pantry door so people don't have to be touching doorknobs and doing all of that as they're going through the house. The least amount of touching. I met a couple on Sunday that came up from the city, and it was a family of 5.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, the kids and the mother and father. And I didn't restrict the kids, and I should have probably. But the mother said, oh, they have masks, they don't need gloves. I said, then they can't go in the house without gloves. They have to have gloves on. So I handed them all the gloves. And now if I were in that situation again, after reading all these guidelines, I would not let the 3 kids go through the house. There's no reason for it.
Because they're not decision makers.
No.
I mean,
no.
well, in all seriousness, they might be.
They might be. They might be picking out their room.
Yeah, I've had a situation where the dog was a decision maker, okay? And you know, I love dogs, but this woman said, if my 13-year-old, whatever breed of dog it was, can't make it up and down the stairs, this is not the house for me. So sometimes the dog has to come in. The dog does it. The dog has to wear PPE, and it has to have permission.
It's funny that you mentioned, but I did have a showing just like that with a dog, where a dog wanted to run away from one house and love the other one.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, sometimes they are the same.
It's like the magic 8 ball, but it's the dog. Is this the right house for me? No.
They've got that sense. They know what's good and what's not good.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's true. They can sense if there's something wrong. I mean, off topic, but I stayed in a haunted B&B once over in Cape May, and I didn't know it was a haunted B&B. And my dog did not want to stay there when we left at all. He was going completely nuts. Later that night, I was reading some article that was talking about the haunted room in that B&B. And guess which room it was? The one I was staying in. And I failed to tell my husband about it because I thought he would check out right away. So we actually stayed there for like an additional night or 2. And then when we got in the car and we left and we were at the gas station, that's when I told him, guess what? Our room was haunted. That's why Max didn't like it.
Funny. Oh my Lord.
So, you know, sometimes I go off on a tangent.
One last thing I want to talk about very briefly is for the seller to be reassured that the virtual listing of their home is so accurate. They're going to be looking at the screen of my computer and see how I've adjusted all the comps in order to come up with the price range for their home, the suggested price range. Yeah. And, you know, without them handling papers or anything else. And it's very, very efficient and very effective. You know,
it's so true because, you know, right now, and we, again, it was just mentioned on our call before this, if you're going to have a discussion with the seller, you know, like you normally would in person, you're not doing it like you normally would. So you're sitting outside right now, you're baking outside in 90 degrees with mask on, and you don't want to give them the papers that you're touching and then they're like, they might be a little skeeved out by that. So the virtual presentation is nice. You're there with them, you're face to face through Zoom, you're going through each
sweating.
If they have questions, you can answer them. What'd you say, Grace?
You're not sweating.
You're not sweating. Oh my God. I mean, it's, you know, it's hot out there with a mask on for sure. Yeah. And sweating is just not good when you're
not professional.
No. Been there, done that, and don't want to do it now. I'd rather sit here with my ring light on and have my presentation locked and loaded and be able to slowly go through everything with them and follow it up with the paperwork. I think, honestly, the only time, and I know, Carol, you mentioned the virtual walkthrough of the house, which I think is totally still acceptable, but the only other time you might want to have that seller and you in the house at the same time would be when you're doing that virtual walk or doing the walkthrough for the first time for the listing. But yeah. I still don't think it makes sense. You know, not yet.
Well, you know, the most recent listing that I had, which was 2 weeks ago before we got into phase 2, they actually walked me through the house on Facebook, and it was perfect, FaceTime rather, and it was perfect. You know, I could say, oh, wait, back up a little bit. Show me where, you know, and of course, I built the house. So it was in Warwick Grove. So I was pretty familiar with it. But still, there were certain aspects of it that I wanted to see.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing that we have in our advisories, just so every seller knows, so you feel totally comfortable, is we are advising not to have anyone use the bathroom. Not that we wanted anyone to use your bathroom before, but we are going to make sure that no one touches your bathroom. And if people are touching things as they're going through, us as, you know, a buyer agent showing the property, we'll have wipes to kind of wipe down those main surfaces like railings and doorknobs. Really, buyers should be limiting everything they touch to only things that they need to touch. So we don't want somebody to trip down a staircase because we said you can't touch the railing, but the railing would be something that we would wipe down afterwards. But we would always encourage a seller to do that too when they return home, just to make sure.
And like Carol mentioned, ask the sellers to open maybe some kitchen cabinets so that the buyers don't have to touch anything. So.
Right. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Oh, and then you mentioned that the gloves, Carol, and you know that, you know, you shouldn't wear the same pair of gloves to every house because that's like your skin. So every time a buyer leaves a property and an agent leaves a property, those gloves will be disposed of not in the seller's garbage cans, but they will take them with them, dispose of them, use new gloves when they go to the next property.
I keep a Ziploc bag in my car, and everybody
Yes.
can take their masks, or not their masks, but their gloves off and put them in that, and then I throw it away.
Yeah, good, good.
Mm.
Okay, so thank you for all that information. I appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody
My
else does.
pleasure.
So Grace, we touched on open houses a little bit, and that's something new that's changed as well with phase 2, because initially we couldn't do a public open house. So I wanted you to just kind of touch on what's changed now.
So, well, we couldn't do one before. We were only doing virtual. Now we have these in-person ones. So one of the first things if you are going to have one of these open houses, you know, it's funny because I feel like there's 2 different kinds of open houses that you can do here. And one is a little bit more, difficult than the other, because you know, if you're putting it out there that you're having it and all these people end up showing up at the house, that could be a bit of a problem, you know. But the first thing you ought to do is meet everybody at the front door. They can do a virtual sign-in at that point. We need to ask them about their a health screening for them to make sure that they're not sick, to make sure that they, you know, there's 3 questions that we have to ask every time. And you know, have you been in contact with anybody? Have you had a fever? I think that was one of them, right? I forget. I you know, it's like it's so new to do all of this now.
I know.
But that screening is an important thing right at the front door before they go in. And also to provide a digital sign-in for people so that they can sign in digitally. You can actually sign them in. They'll give you their email. And then at that point, you could send them the marketing information for that property. So again, we're not handing them any paper.
Right. Yeah. And even our advisory that we have for showings, we have that in like a JPEG. And most of us have saved it on our phones already, so we can just text it to somebody as they're coming through as well.
Yeah, also a virtual business card so that you can just give that to them, so they'll have your contact information immediately.
Yeah.
You're handing them a card that, you know, could have germs on it. We're providing the shower, the guidelines to them so that they know what they can do when they're in the house, and that they have to wear their masks and, you know, not touch everything when they go in. Mm-hmm. We have to limit the amount of people that are in there. Only one potential client, one party at a time can go in, and the rest will have to wait outside, and hopefully an orderly line where we, you know, I think it's going to be difficult to mark the 6 feet off, but people, I think at this point, people understand the whole 6-foot rule, and they know to stay apart, but that's what we have to make sure that that's happening. And, you know, no one's, you know, trying to get through the line, right?
I have anxiety just thinking about this, because let's say, right, we spoke about the low inventory levels and all of that. So you get like this hot new listing wherever, let's say it's in Warwick, and it's 350,000, just to throw a price out there. And you put it on Friday, and you're doing an open house Saturday morning. How many people you think are going to show up?
100.
Probably, right?
A lot of people, maybe not 100, but a lot of people are probably going to show up. So to me, Personally, I would not suggest doing it that way.
None of them
You're
are
allowed to do it.
none of them are pre-qualified.
Right. Or some might be, but you don't know.
You don't know.
No, we don't know who's coming off the street and coming to this open house. So if it were my listing, I wouldn't do it that way, even though we're allowed to do it that way. I wouldn't do it that way.
Yeah, I
I
know.
would make appointments with people. I'd say, I'm going to be having an open house. I'm having 10-minute slots. When is a good time for you to come? You can come at this time. And that's how I would market it. I just recently did it that way, and it worked out.
I think that's a great way to do it, rather than just putting it out there, advertising it to the masses, and then having everyone, and I'm going to use it again, baking in the 90 degrees with their masks on, waiting online to get in to see a house, because you don't want to aggravate people either, So I think that's such a great way to do it. You have like this kind of like by appointment open house. And that way you have your time slots, you're, being careful with your time and with yourself too, because
it's easier for a seller as well, because they don't have to leave like so many times. They're going to leave from a certain period of time. And that, it might limit showings if you could do it that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the 10 minutes too, I feel like it's kind of like, all right, hurry up, you got 10 minutes, in and out.
Now I'm looking at my clock.
Yeah, done. You should actually set like a timer. So that it's like at the pedicure place when they give you the massage, when you buy like the spa pedi, and they set the little timer to hear it ding. But it's exciting that we know that we have to deal with problems like that, with having too many people show up for an open house. And the virtual open houses have been a great thing too. So I think that we're going to keep that, right? I mean, that's going to still be part of our marketing.
Right. And if you're doing it on Facebook, it's there. Like somebody can go back later and look at it as well.
Yeah.
I am definitely getting used to this very, very much.
Right? I know. See, I'm happy you're getting used to it. You probably still don't love it, but you're getting used to it.
I'm getting used to it. I try to do it as much as I can. But I think virtual open houses, I think the exposure that you get, the amount of views you get, there are so many buyers out there that you can see you.
And more so than you would if they were coming in.
Absolutely. The numbers, yes.
Yeah. Even with our segment, every week time that we've done it and we've posted it and like a week's gone by, we've had close to 500 people that have looked at it. And that's without even like heavily promoting them. But with the virtual open houses, we're doing great promotion for that. And I'll go back to Carol just to kind of bounce back for a second, because Carol, you've done a couple of virtual open houses. So tell us about them.
Well, I do them with my business partner, my associate, Susan Schneider, and we play off each other. And it's like taking a walk through somebody's home, and just, it works very, very well. It really does. And I can time it. I don't want to do an open house now in this nice weather on a Saturday or Sunday. So I'll pick a Friday at 4:30. Join us for have a glass of wine while you come to the open house, that kind of a thing. So it's worked very well. I'm doing another one in Warwick Grove on next Friday at 4 o'clock.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll have a glass of wine with you at 4 o'clock next Friday.
Good. Good. It's a date.
Good. And I'm just going to bounce back to Grace again, because we spoke about the open houses. And what about some of the other things that we do as agents, as far as inspections, appraisals, closings? How are those being handled right now?
Well, we shouldn't be going to closings unless it's absolutely necessary that we're there, because they're trying to limit as many people as possible. The inspections and appraisals, you can go and sit in the car. You should not be in there with the inspectors or the appraisers. I mean, you're there to answer questions, open the door for them if necessary, and let them in. But we should not be in there with them.
Okay, good. Well, we've certainly come a long way. So I'm excited for the changes, because before if we were going to show a house to a buyer, like, and I would, I was very strict with this with all the agents in the office, and I got lots of questions on it. And my advice was, if you had to open up the door for a buyer to walk in unaccompanied, yes, we were doing that. That was allowed, unaccompanied showings. That you go there, you open the door, and you run away as fast as you can before the buyer shows up. And you hide yourself. And then when they're done walking through, that's when you go back and lock up. So we've come a long way. I'm so happy that Nikki's happy that she can actually see her buyers face to face now. But no hugging, kissing, shaking
No
hands.
hugging. I'm not hugging.
Can we do an elbow thing anymore?
I don't know that the elbow bump works.
I don't think so. I think that keeping the distance, we still have to,
jazz hands. You got to do the jazz hands.
Protecting the seller, protecting the buyer. We have to still do this, and ourselves.
This is what you do. This is jazz hands, Grace. Yes. I went over the weekend, and I was meeting with some people to discuss some things. Nothing illegal, but I just don't want to really share it on the air. So when I was done with the discussion, I said, "Well, thank you very much." And normally I would shake hands, and I went jazz hands. Like I was nuts.
You can do air hugs.
Yeah, the virtual hug is a nice one too. So you'll learn how to kind of meet and greet people without having to shake hands and things like that.
It's a strange world out there, huh?
It is. It is so
different. It's just different.
Yeah.
And we're adjusting still, and making, being creative. We have to be creative how we do it and how we work it.
Yep. But we're very excited about it. I don't see any questions in our chat. So, that's pretty much it. We went right to 245, which is what I wanted to do. So we're very excited for phase 2. Any closing remarks or anything that you guys want to say just to kind of address people?
Well, I just wanted to say that if there are any sellers out there, buyers out there, we're here to help. So give us a call. And I also wanted to take, again, opportunity to thank you for the support during this difficult time, and the company, because I think during all this time with all the virtual meetings and the support we got as agents, I think we went through this really, did great, because of you guys. So I thank you, and it's been great, being with you as well here today.
You're welcome. And give your phone number just in case anyone wants to reach you direct, Nikki.
And so my cell phone, it's 914-755-8827. You can also email me, Nikki, nikki.g@randrealty.com.
Perfect. And Carol?
My cell phone is 914-443-2496. And my email is Carol with an E. .Rogers, ROGERS, @randrealty.com. And I just would encourage sellers as well as buyers to take advantage of this market. Don't waste time. Now's the time to put your house on the market, and call us if you want to know what the current value is of your home. It's important to know whether you're going to sell or not.
Right. And there is no obligation with that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And we've got lots of buyers out there. So
for sure. Grace.
Oh, well, thank you, ladies, for allowing me to be on this panel this week. It's been really fun. And thanks to the Rands and you, Rachel, for making this less scary for all of us as agents and for the people out there, and putting these things together so that everyone can, see that we're trying to do everything we can for them. My phone number, if anybody would like to reach me, is 845-742-4361. And my email is grace.warren@randrealty.com. If anybody has any ideas that they'd like to share for the radio show, that'd be great too. I'd love to hear from you. And, thank you. Thanks everybody for letting me do this with you this week.
And how do they listen to the radio show, Grace?
Oh, it's 10 o'clock Monday mornings between 10 and 11. And they can listen to it on WTVQ radio, which is 93.5 FM, or they can listen to it on like iHeartRadio or one of those apps where you just put in the radio station and they can stream it live, or actually go to the website too and just stream it right from the WTBQ.com website.
Wonderful. Or you could just tell Alexa, hey, Alexa, play
That's right.
That's what I always do.
That's what I tell my mom to do.
Uh-huh. Good, good. And then just in closing, if anyone wants to reach out to me, my number is 845-544-3675. And my email is my name, Rachel, RACHAEL .HEISS@randrealty.com. We are looking to grow our team of fantastic agents. So if anybody out there is thinking about a career in real estate, I would love to chat with you about it. Right now is a really good time to get into it, as you're hearing here. So there's a lot of excitement. And that's it. That's all we got for today. So thank you, everybody. And we're here for you if you need us. And everybody have a great, great day.
Bye, everyone.
Good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.